What is a myth that is passed from generation to generation and people still believe it? Overcracking your knuckles will lead to arthritis. I cracked my knuckles in front of a friend one time, and she said it caused arthritis. I said it was a myth, and she said her mom said it does, and she should know because her mom works in X profession. I think her mom may have told her that to stop an annoying habit. I once hit a patch of ice and slid off the road while going to a friend's house. When I told her I couldn't make it, my car is in the ditch, her and her friend came down to see. Her friend told me my drive shaft is bent and her dad's a mechanic, so she knows. Had a hell of a time trying to tell her my Focus didn't have a drive shaft back there. That's my exhaust. Swallowed gum will stay in your stomach for 7 years. Never seen a single wad of gum in the hundreds of thousands of stomachs I've looked into. Reading this, you could be a doctor or a very successful serial killer. Could just be someone with X-ray vision, like Superman. That shaving makes hair grow back thicker and stronger. I wish this was true, so shaving my head would cure male pattern baldness. It may not cure baldness, but I guarantee you look 1000% better with a shaved head versus wisps of thin bullcrap hair sprinkled throughout your skull. I got pregnant in 2002 and people legit told me I shouldn't raise my arms over my head because the cord could wrap around the baby's neck. Not just great-grandma telling me this either. People at my restaurant job fussed at me all the time for getting things off of high shelves. Insane. I was once told that getting a haircut while pregnant will also make the cord wrap around the baby's neck. Many times I've tried to imagine just how that's supposed to work, but still haven't come up with anything. The baby gets all of its nutrition from your dead hair follicles. That's why men can't get pregnant. They have short hair. Bulls become angry seeing the color red. Yep. For those wondering, it's how the fabric moves that makes the bull charge. I thought it was the spears and sticks they beat it with. 90% of the myths surrounding pregnancy and childbirth. If the baby's heart rate is fast, it's a girl. If you crave sweet things, it's a girl. If you are carrying high, it's a girl. They're the only ones I can think of at the moment, but there are so many other myths out there. Advice brought to you by the generation who drank and smoked with their pregnancy. I'm craving cigarettes and alcohol. Oh, it's gonna be Russian! That we use 10% of our brain. Power or capacity, this was actually proven to be bullcrap. I like to put it this way. It's like saying we only ever use 1/3 of our traffic lights. Using 3 out of 3 of the light at once would be ridiculous and useless. Using 100% of your brain at once is called a seizure and you won't like it. The children now love luxury. They have bad manners. Contempt for authority. They show disrespect for elders and love chatter in place of exercise. Children are now tyrants, not the servants of their household. They no longer rise when elders enter the room. They contradict their parents, chatter before company, gobble up dainties at the table, cross their legs, and tyrannize their teachers. A quote by Socrates, 469 to 399 BC. I wonder if this one has always persisted through time, or if it comes and goes. I assume kids these days has always been a thing, but I could imagine it being a less popular turn of phrase in harsher times. I can actually imagine it being more common during harsh times. Vsauce actually has a great video about this called Juvenoia. If I get a raise at work, I'll pay more taxes and just make less money. The word marginal is hard. My sister's ex-husband refused a promotion because he thought it would mean he'd have to pay more in taxes and end up losing money. He was an accountant and didn't know what tax brackets were. Trickle-down economics. The rich just got richer and now they're taking our homes from us. Taking our homes and selling them back to us on a subscription basis. That your generation is always the last good generation. There's a recorded quote along the lines of, "Kids these days don't respect their elders, have bad manners and don't follow the rules, etc." by Socrates. One of my favorite historical texts is this diary ranting about how all the youths are lazy, disrespectful, and don't know the value of hard work. It's from the 1100s Japan. You'll catch a cold going outside with wet hair, but it does make my head hurt like hell. External brain freeze. That being out in cold weather will make you catch a cold. The cold is a virus that you catch from others and has nothing to do with the outside temperature, but tends to spread in the winter when we spend more time indoors with others. So basically, we should be out in the cold in winter. Having the overhead light on in a car while driving is illegal. I don't know, man. My dad was pretty adamant that it was an extreme safety hazard to have those overhead lights turned on. At night, it can turn your windshield into a mirror. That's annoying. You eat 8 spiders a lifetime. You eat 8 spiders in a lifetime is a statistical error. Spiders George, who lived in a cave and eats 10,000 spiders daily, is an outlier and should not have been counted. Mom told me if I shaved my legs, the hair would grow back thicker. It doesn't. They see preteens and early teens shaving while also going through puberty and think it's correlated. Of course, as you descend through puberty and into adulthood, the hair will get thicker and darker, regardless or not if you shave it. The myth is actually usually attributed to the fact that the tips of your hair are pointed, but when you shave, you temporarily make them blunted, which makes the individual hairs look thicker. My dad insisted that if you didn't dry your hair immediately after getting out of the shower, you would catch your death of cold. As far as he was concerned, letting your hair stay damp would immediately give you a respiratory illness. Similarly, putting away dishes that weren't completely dry would purify and poison someone. I know germ theory wasn't very well understood when he was a lad, but the water was basically the end of all things as we know it to him. Your dad wasn't a cat, was he? Your job will notice you and give you promotions for working hard. Your hard work will be rewarded by giving more and more work until you break or burn out. Anyone can be what they want when they grow up. This is the original lie. I feel like this is a fairly recent sentiment. In days of yore, you would just do what your parents did. Parents farmed, you farmed. Parents were cobblers, you were a cobbler. Parents died of dysentery, you died of dysentery. That you should respect your elders because the elders are somehow inherently respectable even when they're total pieces of crap. Yeah, just treat everyone with the same base layer of respect until they prove they're not worthy of it. Pretty simple stuff. Nobody talks about a neutral level of respect. It's rather show me respect or it's disrespectful. No, respect and disrespect are both earned. You start at 0, not to be confused with having manners. That an ice cream van playing his music means he's run out of ice cream. Your parents were mean. You spelled poor wrong. My friend's friend hid a tab of acid in his shoe. It soaked into his skin, and he is now in a mental asylum and permanently believes he is a glass of orange juice. Holy crap, I've heard that here in Hungary. In that version, it was a bald smuggler guy who hid the stamps under his beanie at an airport check, and now all he can say is orange. Don't eat before swimming. Yes, and a secondary myth is that parents knew it was not true, and only said that to prevent children from vomiting in pools. Here in Australia in the 1980s, neighborhood parents indeed insisted you could not swim in a backyard pool within 30 or 60 minutes of eating. My grandfather lived near the beach. He often lectured us kids to not swim within 30 minutes of eating if we were heading towards the beach. It once came up at school when we saw a shot of a woman being fed as she swam the English Channel. The teacher fobbed it off with an, "Oh, but that's different." We were definitely told that eating before swimming causes cramps and cramps lead to drowning. People on Reddit today insist parents only say this to avoid kids vomiting in the pool. I don't know, my teacher and my grandfather kept the story going, and they weren't secretly in the league to avoid vomit in pools. My grandfather lived near the sea, not a pool. The thing with the teacher was a classroom discussion. It seems more likely they all heard and believed the same old myth. I feel like vomiting in a pool is a legit reason to tell someone not to eat before swimming. If you have to vomit and you're in deep water or a lake or an ocean, yeah, that sounds like a drowning risk. Touching a frog or toad will give you warts. I believe they can transfer some things like salmonella, but not warts. That reading in dim lighting will cause you to lose your eyesight. Birds will abandon their babies if they have a human scent on them. That going outside in the cold rain will make you sick. That carrots will improve your eyesight. That it's illegal to turn the inside lights of a car on at night. That sugar causes hyperactivity. The carrot one is actually pretty funny. The myth began in World War II when the British invented a new form of radar that allowed them to begin night raids. They spread misinformation about how carrots were giving their pilots supervision. Cue carrot sales out the wazoo, and no one felt the need to discredit it until much later because it was a wartime advantage. Every once in a blue moon, I stumble across someone who believes that cabots are a thing. Some people genuinely believe that a cat and a rabbit can bang and produce a viable offspring, but anyone with an ounce of common sense should understand that it would be impossible. I've known a lot of idiots in my life, but I've never heard of something this stupid. If your eyes stayed open during a sneeze, they would pop right out. I could never prove this one false. The right side of your brain is for creativity, and the left side is for logic. If I see one more psych student with that sticker, I'm going to lose it. Literally 30 minutes ago, I just explained to my mother, who is a retired RN with decades of experience, that this is false, and it blew her mind, but only the left half of it. Rulers or politicians care about us. Okay, I refuse to believe anyone ever sincerely bought that. I do genuinely think certain politicians now and in the past genuinely care about their constituents. Just the overwhelming majority do not now. Feeding Gizmo after midnight is dangerous. I'm surrounded by loads of little dudes and they are fine. Well, apart from Jonathan. He is a little bugger. It's always after midnight. And they never mentioned at what time they can start eating again. You can be anything you want to be, career-wise. Just choose the right parents pre-birth and you can. A lot of those old wives' tales are just bullcrap, to be honest. Here's some I was told while growing up. Eating carrots make your eyes better was actually propaganda from the World War. Emptying a dustpan at night brings in bad luck. Pointing at night upsets spirits. Seeing a black cat is bad luck. I now try to pet every black cat I see. Leaving the fan on at night can kill you. Was not told this personally, but I heard it often from friends. Gotta say, excuse me when peeing outdoors, so you don't accidentally pee on a spirit. Don't eat then swim afterwards or you'll drown. Coming from a traditional background community, I've got told tons growing up. I would get square eyes if I watched too much television. Now the entire world is staring at their phone and still no square eyes to be seen anywhere. Aw man, I come from an Italian family. There are so many crazy old wives' tales. Break a mirror, 7 years of bad luck. If your right hand itches, you're coming into money. If it's your left, you're losing money. The most bizarre one is putting a glass on someone's head upside down to see if they have the evil eye on them. A lifeguard in Anacapri did this to me with a full glass of water to see if the water started to bubble to determine if I had heat stroke. It was the most bizarre thing in the world. Don't give power or energy to any of this stuff. Some people are very superstitious. That the USA can't afford free healthcare for its citizens. That pissing in a pool makes the water go purple because a chemical is added to show up children. Delete your comment. We need to keep that myth up. True that. Sorry. If you work hard, you will succeed. My dad always said, if you work long enough and hard enough, you may meet with some success. That always felt truer to me. Eating the crust on bread will give you curly hair. I think this was just your older sibling messing with you. Losing 90% of heat through your head. It isn't 90%, but your head does generate and radiate a lot of heat. There's a reason wearing otherwise identical amounts of warm clothing will still cause you to be basically freezing if you aren't wearing a beanie or something. Yeah, from what I remember, they did the experiment with the entire body covered except the head. Sounds ridiculous saying that out loud. Putting something still warm in the fridge will cause it to go bad. Leaving it out actually allows bacteria to grow faster, and putting it in the fridge will reduce the time it spends in the danger zone. Although it should be put separate from the other fridge items, as it can unnecessarily warm those items and potentially reduce their lifespans. However, putting warm bread in the fridge in a bag or sealed bowl does cause condensation, which will make it soggy. Let the bread cool off pretty thoroughly before you refrigerate it. That GMOs are bad. Without GMOs, we wouldn't have a lot of the food that we have today. Black cats are lucky or unlucky depending on whether you are British or American. If you watch the TV too much or too close, you will go blind. Well, kind of. Limiting your eyes to one distance for most of your childhood will make them significantly worse at other distances. You'd have to be watching TV a lot though, and never even look outside. The reason astronauts float on the International Space Station isn't because of low gravity. They would actually be 90% of Earth's gravity, but it's actually because it's in perpetual freefall. I before E except after C. I before E except after C, and when sounding like A as in neighbor and way, and on weekends and holidays and all throughout May, and you'll always be wrong no matter what you say. That their religion they just happened to be born into or found is the correct one. Money can't buy happiness. One that's still not known well is the white people in the South and Middle America think that they are part Cherokee. You're 99.9% sure to be wrong. Your family is wrong. There wasn't a Cherokee princess or any of that. It's a folktale basically, and your grandma was told the same as a kid. She told your mom, and then your mom told you. People get defensive about this because you have to accept that A, your family accidentally misled you on something your whole life, and B, you don't have some magic Cherokee Princess Native American blood. You're just white. This is what happened with Elizabeth Warren. She was told this tale and believed she was part Cherokee. I was also told this and believed it while growing up. Almost all of my friends were told the same about themselves too. Just a folktale passed down the generations. Republicans are for less spending and tax cuts. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt. Bullcrap. I had to endure people constantly putting me down and mocking me in school, and I felt absolutely worthless and destroyed that people could be that cruel. And my experience is nowhere near as bad as it can get, like false rumors, harassing the parents, etc. You can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. Yes, you can choose your family. My best friend has been more of a brother to me during my most difficult moments, and my real brothers were nowhere to be found. Rubbing VapoRub alleviates your illness, especially rubbing it on your chest, back, feet, and arms. You're basically covered in scented petroleum jelly or Vaseline. Study hard, follow the rules, get a job, pay your debts, finish your mortgage, die. That you have to slave away in a job working for somebody else to have a happy and successful life. Religion? Let's be honest here. If not for indoctrinating their children, no religion would exist today. Imagine that you are a grown adult who has 17 years of scientific education behind you, a grounded understanding of biology, physics, and chemistry, topped with basic competence in philosophy and ethics. And then someone shows up and tells you the way this world really works are based on myths and legends of desert-dwelling Bronze Age people, and the point in life is to develop a personal, emotional connection to a zombie carpenter via telepathy that lived 2,000 years ago and was born from a virgin and now lives in some extra-dimensional paradise where all the good dead people also go. Like, come on. As someone with chronic kidney stones, I get sick to death of all the water myths out there. You need 8 whole full glasses of water every single day in addition to everything else you drink, otherwise you'll be chronically dehydrated. No, you don't. If you only drink when you're thirsty, you're actually killing yourself with dehydration. Your thirst sensor is most likely fine. Have some water if you're thirsty. If you're not thirsty, then you don't need to drink unless you want to. Coffee, tea, and anything else containing caffeine will dehydrate you when you drink it. It's a net loss of fluid no matter how much you drink. Yes, caffeine is a diuretic. No caffeinated drinks will not cause you to lose fluid. This is a myth. You should still drink things that aren't coffee, tea, soda, energy drinks, because if you live off of those exclusively, you'll cause yourself some problems. But chronic dehydration isn't one of them. Absolutely the only fluid intake at all that will hydrate you is water. Nothing else counts. Get off Facebook, Barbara. That conservative politicians will do what's in the best interests of the people. That chiggers burrow into the skin and live or lay eggs. They just bite. It's an old wives' tale. My grandma used to put fingernail polish on our chigger bites to suffocate the chiggers. We were covered in pink polish all summer. Carrots improve vision. Has to be on the list of top propaganda campaigns. Started in World War II to cover for the use of radar. Still to this day, more people I meet believe it than don't. Have you ever seen a rabbit with spectacles? I rest my case. Our current civilization model is the only viable way for society to exist. It's a bald-faced lie. Taking hot showers is good for sunburn, helps draw out the stinging. When I was young, I would always get sunburnt on vacation. My dad always told me to take hot showers. I suffered through the pain thinking it would help. Turns out it was the worst thing you can do. That crime as a whole can be stopped. Never. Minimized? Sure. Gone completely? Never. So stop listening when some stupid politician tells you they're tough on crime. It doesn't mean anything. Every politician is, and none of them will ever do anything to fix it. If you work hard, things will turn out well for you in life. There is a lot of luck that goes into the mix that generally isn't mentioned. That nightshade is a poisonous plant. The European variety of nightshade, belladonna, is poisonous. However, there are other varieties that are completely edible. When European explorers went over to the Americas and Africa, faced with the contradiction of seeing indigenous peoples eating nightshade stalks and leaves as part of their diet, came to the conclusion that it must be because the indigenous people were closer to animals than humans. To this day, people still believe that black nightshade is a poisonous plant entirely rooted in racism. Scholars across generations have defended this lie. Checking Halloween candy for whatever the hell it was checked for. Razors, drugs, whatever the myth was. Yeah, I had a friend who was way too old to still be believing in that lie. Oh no, this one M&M is misshapen. That means it's been poisoned. And the look of horror on her face when I took her M&M and ate it was potentially worth dying over. Spoiler, I didn't. That the USA is a democracy. As long as there is the Electoral College, 2 senators per state, and gerrymandering, the majority won't rule. Believe in these ancient stories told by illiterate and uncivilized people. Believe in an afterlife based on a reward or punishment for how you behave here and now. Believe in a totalitarian cosmic being who demands your obedience, love, and servitude. And believe these particular people who claim to speak on behalf of and/or rule society on behalf of this all-powerful cosmic being. Also, believe that you are automatically guilty for existing as a sentient being, and that your guilt can only be absolved by this social hierarchy that towers above you. Also believe that non-believers and nonconformists are responsible for everything that is wrong with the world. That eating after a certain time causes weight gain, when in fact it has more to do with what time you go to sleep and not a specific time of the day. It's more of a correlation than anything. People who tend to eat late tend to be the same people who overeat. It's the same thing with getting poor sleep and weight gain. Eating close to bedtime definitely helps cause acid reflux and a poor night's sleep though. Breast milk lacks nutrition after 4 to 6 months. Whoever said that? Most religions. Your name makes this so much better, lol. Curious though, what do you mean by most? They mean all religion is BS except their chosen one. Thanks for watching until the end. If you have something to add to this list, feel free to share it in the comment section below. Then be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stop by the channel to check out another amazing video.